it with your life. I wanna change your mind. Bring you in close to me. I wanna change your mind. Bring you in closer. Bring you in closer.
Picking up the pieces that I lost in the lobby. I put you against the wall, you had us body to body. I can't help the way you make me feel, it's so hard to copy. Let's find common ground, meet me in a lost and found, yeah. Dark days turning into dark nights. I hit the strip and spend it all, I'm having hard times. I reminiscing at me looking through the archives. I seen a picture of you looking like a star shines. And you're bright, 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 like the lights on a fight night, night. Love hit me like a mic, mic, mic. You know I'ma get it right, right, right. So stay with me, run away with me. Need like a dope fiend, need dope. Need like a coke fiend, need coke. Even though your heart cold, ski slope. I really hope the song bringing me close.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official PFL broadcast. We've got you some Division 1 action tonight for FC26. It's been a while since I've been on this wonderful YouTube stream. I think it's actually been since FC25 since I've made an appearance here for PFL. But I tell you what, it's an absolute pleasure to be back. And I'm really excited for today's following action. And if you're interested what those games will be, well, I can show you right on this screen. First game of the night, Esports versus West Gaming, two top sides in the division so far, looking to try and make a clash. You'll see a little bit later. One of these teams performing slightly better than the others overall. However, recent form could certainly throw a spanner in the works. PFC 11 Elite as well, taking on Mad Army in that second match of the day. That's also looking to be a highly exciting one. I tell you what, when I did get the invite by the PFL admin to come back to this broadcast, he made sure I was fed well, because I must say I've been starving for quite some time, but these matchups are certainly edible. GSK Esports as well versus GTZ to round it off right at the very end. The 3 digits for 2 Gs taking each other on, but of course this is all to create that impact on the table. So how has the table been looking? Well, I can show you right here. Of course, Division 1, some of the best of the best that we've got to offer. And with that Alta Esports versus West Gaming side facing each other first, you can kind of see what I was talking about these two teams in the opening doing pretty well. Of course, with Alta taking that second spot, 4 game wins to their favor, a draw and a loss, but recent form looking a little bit shaky. Whereas on the side of West Gaming, 2 wins in their most recent results, of course, not starting off the best with those draws, and the 2 losses in their best of the last 5. But that little bit of form could see themselves climbing up the table. Still only 3 points worth of separation between these two sides. We've also got that second matchup a little bit later of PFC 11 Elite versus Mad Army. Mad Army, of course, taking that top spot currently, but a draw somewhat ruining that perfect green last 5. And same can't be said here for their opponents, Mad Army, 11 Elite, who are sitting there in 5th, 2 draws in their recent results. So, you know, it was already tattered in the first place with that second to last results they were able to pick up. But still, that's going to be a top result. This is truly going to be a clash for the top of the table, with a win from Elite potentially being able to leapfrog them. And as much as I do want to talk about that third matchup as well, I think it's better to move to the lineups, because both of these teams are getting themselves ready very, very soon. It's a 3-5-2. Nothing changes from FC to FC. This is the meta formation for 11v11 Pro Clubs. On the side of Alte, it's going to be Loro in the sticks, with Alvarez, Valdi, and Suso rounding off that defense. Lades, Joes, Canella, and Alvaro alongside Carlos are going to be taking the center of your pitch, and then your familiar duo ship up top, Wembenyama and Joker, will be your 2 strikers on the roster. Seen them put themselves together in FC26 and in recent seasons as well. It's a dynamic duo that have consistently found themselves in that top spot. And of course, we can talk a little bit about those opponents as well, but we will not have long, because I can see the players getting themselves in the lobby. AK Rock in the sticks, Huncho, Cruz, and Ocandro as well in the defense. And in game, however, we already have kickoff. It didn't take us long to get started, but has absolutely no complaints whatsoever. FC being able to fix their issues that they had with 11v11 clubs, where we just could not get a lobby going. But this time, it was a first try. Players are on the pitch, and already we await to see who will be able to strike first. Coming in from the left wing, it's going to be Lads. Taking it close, throws it behind here to Camila Penedo. Will get that initial block, and you can see that little bit of a bunch up in the midfield here, looking to try and overload those central spaces, but that's what you're going to expect with a 3-5-2. Of course, you do have those options for the wing playing to play that bit of a 5 at the back, or that 4 up top, depending on what kind of mentality the team wants to play with. But then when it does get to those midfield positions, this is when you can really see those battles. So far, it's attempts at a really quick tiki-taka coming in here, but they haven't quite been able to bear fruit. Camella will bring this ball back here for Alte Esports. It's been the West with a majority of that possession, but not really much time spent in that final third regardless. And you see that little bit of an influx, especially in this FC, of teams taking that bit more of a defensive route, throwing all players back. That offense is easy to do once you don't have all those defensive players sitting back, with some of those, of course, nerfs in between 25 and 26 to the defensive lines. But these are top players, and these defenders are going to be there to match. They're going to be put to the test now, because that ball has spilled its way forward. Wembenyama isn't going to be able to dribble his way past a Conjure. This one is going to go towards that byline. Has to hold it tight. Doesn't want to get ran off the side of the pitch, especially with those 3 players surrounding him. That 4th defender, of course, being the sidelines. But Wembenyama catches it once again. Cruz, though, is able to step in for that tackle. And despite what was early successes in this game from West, Alte Esports have looked a lot stronger once they actually have found themselves that ounce of possession. Ball across in the box, but it's offside. First set piece of the day. And I don't think they'll be considering any Ronaldo-esque strikes from that kind of distance. That one certainly too far for even Ronaldo to think about, but set pieces, such a big part of FC, of Pro Clubs especially. Of course, there are going to be height restrictions and some playstyle plus restrictions as well for those offensive players. The defenders do have that little bit of an advantage in that regards, but that's a wonderful ball over the top here. That's Junior wants to cut this one behind instead. Allows that to be taken by a teammate. A little bit of tricky feet. Is able to keep that ball close, wanting to lure in the defense, and he certainly lured in an army. 4 players on him. That's going to leave some space for it. A ball bouncing out, but Rock makes a perfect dive out wide. It's the first real strike of the game, and the save was there to follow. And I spoke about those set pieces. That one will land perfectly for a header. Strike, though. A lot more manual. Still isn't going to be enough to match. Joker. Stolen once more. Wants to cut inside, but Hugo puts a stop to that attack. It recycles all the way back here to the Altai Esports defense. And you'll just see this layer of patience now in the build-up. But impatient there from the defense. They just got themselves stuck in. 1 foot in the play. And all of a sudden, this is looking like a threatening counter-attack. I thought he was about to run himself off the pitch, both on the side and to the goalkeeper's way. But no goal kicks or throw-ins to favour. Instead, it's a ball right outside the box. But you can see the width of the defense starting to tighten. All bricks of a giant wall. Too tough to pass for West Gaming. And this is not what you want to see if you're part of that white side. Altai getting themselves back possession right in front of the box. But once more, with this very defensive style that teams can play with now in FC, it's still going to be tough to break through, even when you do pick up possession by a surprise in those kind of dangerous positions, which would have been a guaranteed goal, especially early in the cycle of FC26, and definitely in 25. A little bit less ping-ponging, though. Ball stays in the feet of the player who tackles, and that's a few quick passes to get forward, and a tight-angle shot, not quite Luis Diaz-esque. Therefore, we're back to goalkeepers. Back to build up from behind. And it's a West Gaming who are already feeling the force of that high press. Trying to look for that route of escape. You see so many switches in the play attempted from them in order to get themselves out of these spots. It's a big pinged ball forward, though there was an Altai player there to catch. And despite the patience of their opponents, this one just rushed forward. A bouncing ball. A 1v1! And a first goal for Altai. It's Tiro to open up the scores. And I would have loved to watch that one again, but these players are going to waste no time getting themselves back to kickoff. It was one killer threaded ball forward. A double tap triangle to catch that ball with precision towards that near post. And that goalkeeper had too many angles to cover. There was also the part available there for the tramp that couldn't come through. And hold on a minute here. It's a little bit of a strange animation to get that ball back for the free kick. And this is actually a vital position for West Gaming. Just approaching that half-time mark. The captain's conversation will look rather different if they can bear fruit from this single attack. He's got a player up close. Gonna make that run instead. Ball inside, but that header will go out for a goal kick once more. And just like the corner that Altai were able to land before, it's an attacker able to get his head onto the ball, but ultimately not enough to fulfill the job. Not finding the target. The goalkeeper's not getting tested. And as much as I saw those brief moments where West did pick up the ball there, just in front of the goalkeeper, the Altai Esports defense, they were cool, calm, composed, very quickly able to regain possession. And even if they lost it, they knew they didn't have to force any balls forward. So you didn't see them force any men forward either. That's rounded off what has been an Altai Esports dominated first half. And a wonderful first goal as well to get us started. And there you can get a little bit of a look here at the 3-5-2 that we are going to see built up by Altai. Alvaro and Cam's Shadow taking that bit more of a pivot role in that central five. You usually see one playing a bit more creative and hire a little bit of a whole player if they want to pick a pocket and rush themselves forward. And then it's those two pivots where you can get the most creative. I feel like especially in 26 you're going to see them drop back that little bit more than you do in any other FC. Not many willing to keep themselves standing forward for any of these counter defenses, because it's those numbers that you really want in your own third and just outside of your own box. Kickoff strategy attempted. Spoke about before those play style bans favouring the defense. That's why you see the header come in so easy, but that regaining possession once more is dangerous. It's a flip-flap to get forward, but Ulte can't break through quite yet to get their second chance, but completely muscled off the ball there by Akantra. It still falls back to the feet of Wembanyama, and that's a double lead straight off the break. A fantastic goal to keep play moving. It's quick thinking. It's going to be so frustrating for West. That's how it is done. You already see that first man muscled off, and they felt like the job was over in the defense. But come on. This is an FC game we're talking about. Stay on your toes. Those balls can bounce to the feet of those offensive players. Sure, it's reduced to previous games. Well, that's definitely going to still be a game-changing factor. And now this OS side, which have struggled to see the net in the first place, need to find the back of it in 2 occasions in one half. With an Ulte side that doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. Already looking for a third. That through ball has a little bit of a delayed touch there from Joko. Wembanyama again finds a magnet on his feet. Will use his partner in the offense once more. And the third goal will strike for Ulte. That could be the nail in the coffin. That could be the game decider. Oh, West, how's your bottle? How's your ice? Do you have anything left in the tank for what has been a frustrating game of FC? A little trick through. A goalkeeper once more able to stretch to that corner has not been tested much in this game so far. But whenever he has, it's passed with flying colours. What a way to start off the night. You get some sights here of what some of those top teams in the first division of PFL can do. Ulte Esports were sitting in that second place of the league. And they do have Mad Army ahead of them with that series in hand. I believe actually it was equal points before this match begun. So a chance to leapfrog if Army do back-to-back have some poor results. Of course, they are going to be our second series of the day against PFC 11 Elite. So that is going to be an important fixture to stick onto. Canella rotates it back here to Sol. Alvarez will keep this ball close, and they're playing it amongst the wings. So many minutes burned down. And that's going to be the 12th man now for Ulte. Time is running out. Chances just have not been there for OS overall. Sometimes you do have games like this where nothing seems to come together. But it's just that coordination of Ulte Esports, which is just another level. Their spacing is immense. They know when to commit a man. They know when to fill up that space when someone steps forward. They know when to double up and when to just leave one man forward to just go for a lot of these strafing defenses. But on top of that, you just have players that are very individually gifted, showing off a little bit of that flair. Kada trying to show some himself, but once more, completely surrounded by a sea of blue. And those tides come crashing down against him. The counter comes quick. Goal number 4 is pending, but the flag comes up. And that will be a black flag for any of their chances for a fourth in that attack. They start yet again, but you still feel that confidence that that could be what comes first before a goal here for West with how this game has gone so far from them. Another brutal intercept there in the midfield line. A wonderful through ball threaded to Wembanyama, and you saw him aim for that far post. But Rock stepped up, had all angles covered. A little bit of bravery there to come out so quick. As a goalkeeper with heaps of experience put to show. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see the full extent of it with those 3 goal concessions. And in a way, we really haven't been able to see it from the opposing goalkeeper either. I thought he'd get an opportunity here. But the defense gets there first. And there's going to be so much credit thrown out to Alvarez, Valdi, and Suso. The 3 titans to make up the defensive axis that have just looked unbreakable. Goalkeeper just feels like that double padlock for the already impeccable trio that stands right in front of him. Montero, though, will still fancy his luck. Alvarez will get that block once more and showing off a little bit of that individuality as well. 1 man, 4 opponents. Sometimes the maths does not come that easy. A lovely ball across, a quick 2 passes. Cruz is able to step forward. And it's going to be back to the corners once again for Ulte. 10 minutes left. This game is certainly decided. Now it's just about what you can get out of it. Valdi gets that header. And once more, it's been these corners where the offensive-minded player has actually made contact. But still, the defense has had no real job to handle. Of course, there is that little bit of a physical aspect as well. Those defenders being stronger and in contact with the offensive players. It's about that balanced stat of at rates and as well any play styles you may have, but that is restricted in that regard. Alvaro to Joker. Lovely pass across to Carlos. And this is so well calculated. Doesn't go for that immediate pass to Carlos, who is that obvious option. And that completely hoodwinks the defense. Plays that extra pass first, finds a different angle. Keeps them guessing, and then there was a moment of hesitation. It's those fine decisions that make the difference. And Ulte, 4-0. A clean sheet in their favour and potentially a 5th to follow. That shot, though, not quite showing what we've seen for the rest of these 90 minutes. But what a game that was for them. There is your full-time whistle. And that is surely Ulte climbing their way up the table. Of course, once more, dependent on that second matchup of the day. PFC 11 Elite and the team in front of the Mad Army 11 Elite look to chase themselves into that position. But this will be the French derby upcoming. And there is something about video games, ladies and gentlemen. I don't really know what it is, but the French are darn good at it. I come from the Rocket League scene, where, of course, they do have everyone's number in that regards. The same can be said as well about Rematch, if any of you are familiar about that also football-adjacent game. But that all bodes well for this Division 1 matchup. We're just going to get once more a look at that table and where these two teams are currently placed. Like I said, it is going to be Mad 11 versus PFC 11 Elites, that French matchup, which everyone has been waiting for. They've both got a series in hand compared to a lot of their opponents. You can see that excellent form has followed them throughout the season. Both teams invincible, not a single loss on their record. But if there was a time for that to happen, it would be now. So you must be wondering who are going to be these players entering the pitch. Well, for PFC 11 Elite, it's going to be, well, first of all, 3-5-2s. That should be a given by now. Chris Barras taking up the net with Shizui Shiki in defense with Escrova and Mr. PG as part of that trio right alongside him. Absco taking the wings with Jay Lings also getting a mention here in the broadcast. Tico, Mara and Shaz rounding up the midfield of the pitch. Warren Beast and Sinti are going to be your two players up top. But on Mad Army to try and shut down Warren Beast and Sinti, it's going to be Wakabayashi, who I do recognise from last season as being an excellent player with Latov, Atsu and Riyad right in front of him. But of course, you've got Tuts Kudamiri, Festic and Polgish on the roster as well, with Capone and RyXD making up that midfield. Polgish being one of those streams to watch for the broadcast. He does have a face cam, so unfortunately, I think we might be using an Absco stream instead, but I know that people are very, very, very excited about the Polgish stream overall. But we also got Stuxinio and Warren up top to try and score some against Chris Borres, Shisui Shiki, Exclova, and Mr. PG. And I said that this was the day where I have been fed so well by PFL to get these three matchups today. But this second one, I feel like this is going to be the real main meat of this sandwich. This is going to be an excellent matchup. It's got Elite in the name of one of the teams. I mean, come on, that should tell you everything you should have to know. Mad Army is, well, being such a top side. I mean, it's a top 5 matchup. It's a team sitting at the top of the table as well. We've seen what second place can do. What is the difference? What makes PFC 11 Elite so much better than the rest of the competition? This is such a good opportunity for them to test themselves against the top side on that main broadcast with us all watching here at home, to represent their country, to be those top dogs. I hope we're ready for these players to get themselves into the game. We do have both teams live on Switch, which is always a good initial sign, and we were able to join that lobby first try for the first series of the day. So, come on. Give it to us again. For anyone that is out there and listening in the EA headquarters, make sure we can have this second series. I want it so badly. Please. I don't want any delays. I want to get this show on the road. It is going to be 90 minutes of some of the best 11v11 pro clubs to exist in the world. That is what PFL offers to bring in this first division. And when you have European titans like this, that just has to be the case. Eyes, of course, on the likes of players like Absco, who is going to be, I believe, the stream POV that we are going to be watching. And, of course, the likes of Polgish as well. But Warren's a player I've seen up top, and I do love to give a little bit of love to the defenders, especially the goalkeeper. Everyone knows that if they've seen me cast any football-adjacent game at all whatsoever. I actually was a goalkeeper back in the day, but that's what having your growth spurt first does for you. You know, long, skinny. I looked like Petr Cech in there, but unfortunately, you can talk about your Petr Cechs. Will you be able to live up to the likes of Wakabayashi? But the wait is finally over, ladies and gentlemen. We have kickoff. 30 seconds has gone of in-game seconds, and we are going to be watching that POV, like I said before. Of course, one of the teams is calling themselves Beşiktaş. Of course, beloved, I believe, Turkish side, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. That's going to be PFC 11 Elite on that roster in the black. The white will be the top team, Mad Army. Boras really left us guessing there with that late pick up off the ball. And that is going to be a manual pinged ball forward. A little bit too power off the back of it, however. Nice muscle there shown by Riyad. And I was about to say what button he was tapping, but I really messed up controls in this game. So no one would have understood that. Riyad. Back to Russell West. Swatsu. Gets the ball forward to Producer. Looking to use that technical plus. I really want to see that used as much as possible in this game, as I am going to be really disappointed. I know that these players have all that individual excellence, but oh my goodness, look at the way they link up as a team. It's a strike from long by Stocks. You might feel like it's forced, but that's what you've got to do. Before those defenses close up and they become impossible to break, you have to take those small gaps when they present themselves. And come on, are you really going to doubt Mad Army with the season that they have had so far? It's very man-to-man, though. Overall, in defense, here's the overload, though. As soon as it transitions to defense, everyone drops back that midfield. I said that it can drop back to a midfield 5 when those wingers come back. You've got those players acting a bit more like fullbacks, but it's actually more common that the pivots or those two players that drop really deep just in front of the defensive trio. And they just play to block those extra angles, come together to clash, and that's what makes it so hard for Mad Army to come through as well when PFC Elite do the exact same thing to them. This is the case at the high level. Both want to play in a meta, but you can still see the little bit of individuality between these two sides. The very quick passing of Mad Army, but still not scared to take an extra touch or two should the space present itself. That's a wonderful pass. A lot more manual plays as well. Rissad blocked for that initial pass. You can see that winger, that rapid, itching to be used. But the long legs, it's not going to let that one through easily. Russell can't weave his way through the defense, and now it's going to be quick on the counter. These are going to be the real moments of weakness, the very rare moments for Mad Army. That's what they're so good at doing, buying themselves some time, allowing that defense to come back, and just when you think there's going to be a counter-attack, it's more of a counter midfield. They don't get that deep into the pitch. It's all about that efficiency. When you do have a low amount of players behind, you've got to make sure they are placed down well. How they're going to place themselves now with Sinti running down the byline. Doesn't want to play that pass inside. Goes straight for the shot. But Wakabayashi is not going to be beaten so easily. Love this patience from Firstic as well. Few looks around the shoulder. Not going to play that ball forward if there's no real ball to be played. You don't want to turn over for those counter-attacks. They've had a little bit of a taste of what that can be when PFC Elite break themselves in front of that initial blockade. It's pure danger. I feel like the wrong decision was made inside the box before. That should have been goal number 1. But I don't think that's going to be a team that will bleed twice, so to speak. Festic. Simple ping there to Russell. Tiki-taka coming through. Warren. Again, he's been hunting for that pass down the wing, but it doesn't necessarily need to happen. The winger's appearance alone is that bit of a threat. It is buying away a defender and clearing up space elsewhere on the pitch, especially for himself to just stand there and wait for the opportunity to present itself, because that defender that's blocking a winger doesn't want to step forward. It's a dummy run. It's a Thomas Müller special. And that's a beautiful header as well from the top out of nowhere. One flick up to that front post. And you see the first goal come through for Mad Army. If you feel like that was sudden, it's because it was. They didn't get any opportunities like that, but I spoke about it earlier in today's broadcast, as we love a lovely advertisement popping up on the right there for Twitch. That those set pieces are going to make all the difference if the team is able to utilize it. No stone left unturned for the current reigning top team on the PFL Division 1 table. They'll put you on your toes, no matter the scenario. Consistently aware of the best play. They dribble off the pitch. A quick counter from PFC Elite. Could have been inflicted. It still can, with Warren Beast getting this ball forward. A flip-flap, though, will go straight to the feet of the wide centre-back. And now it's Dembouz. Well, you've got to live up to that name now. Is this going to be Ballon d'Or-esque? Keeps it simple. Bradrista. Also named after a player that has had excellent performances in the real world recently. Abscovo. Able to stop that play dead in its tracks, but corners already proven now. This could be a potential winning condition for Mad Army. Just before the second half, a block fair in the front post. They were going for the exact same strategy. Tico Beast will take it over. This is going to be last attack. Sinti blocked off there, and Dembouz will throw this one behind to the goalkeeper. Just has to send it long, and the referee will blow the whistle. The French showdown off to an excellent start for Mad Army. But despite the high possession they're able to grab, as is rather characteristic of FC26, still not many opportunities at net. This does feel like a game on a nice edge. Can change at just a flick of the wand. One magician pass from the midfield. One line broken, one goalkeeper wrong-footed. And we can see those scales start to tip. This isn't the same 1-0 heading into half-time that we had between Altair Esports and OS Gaming. OS Gaming really couldn't get their feet in the game. We saw some counter-attacks at least from PFC. That did look promising. And I believe that was 66 to 34% possession. 66, of course, favouring Mad Army. But that possession stats increasingly does not become everything. There is room for different methods of gameplay. Not to say that both of these teams don't like to play for that possession. That's a ball to the back post on the volley. We'll have to test out Boras. Can't get that catch. Tipped out for a corner once more, and these do feel dangerous. You can feel the pressure now. That first goal has really set the tone for the rest of the match. It's a little flick off to that back post. That's a different strategy there from the training ground that we've not seen shown so far this game. That one's a whip to that back post. Well defended, though, by Shiki. Does get that enforcer forward. Warren can't back pass. Had 3 players around him, and they've got themselves separated. Prepared for the attack. Dembuz will get tricky with his feet as well, to just allow those spaces to present themselves. I love the way that Mad Army just control their speed moving forward. Yes, they can rush through an attack. They can use those tiki-taka play styles, those pinged passes, and just flick those ball forward like we see right now to grab their second goal. But when it's time to be patient, when it's time to be that snake in the grass, ready to strike at any moment, they'll step up to the plate. And that's how quickly the pace can shift. Opponents left completely dumbfounded. Whiplash definitely felt by these 11 players. And Warren, oh my goodness, a roulette forward, a little bit of flair behind it. Would have been a wonderful way to set up the assist. A back heel as well in the midfield, a little bit too cute. Picked up by Tico. Sent out by Absco. See that ball roll scoop. Pass to Warren, Serenity. Washing machine, football just outside the box, but that one was Eco. Warren. Oh, tries to flick it back, but it's a perfectly timed tackle there to make sure that could not break through. Mr. PG plays it from his own corner. It's a lovely switch of the play. We've seen many of those today. But it's felt like a lot of these more infield balls are not the priority for the defensive side in terms of blocking it. It's really about denying any advancements forward, making sure any gaps are closed down, or even sacrifice blocking a man to make sure a through ball option is covered instead. Truly brings that power in numbers. But the most important power in numbers, of course, is going to be those 2 goals to nil to Mad Army. Ball over. Should be a simple catch from the goalkeeper. Not sure I'm a fan of the animation, but still was able to hold it down. Dembuz, the wingman, has been waiting for his opportunity on the ball for quite some time. To be fair to him, did do well with it. The other side of the pitch, however, that's where the bunch up was. Too hard to stop. That's a tactical foul, a yellow card taken. And now it's going to be all once more. PFC Elite needing to grab a goal out of this attack. Wants to flick it over. Sends it to that back post. Wants to find it back into the corridor of uncertainty. Certainty's discovered rather fast. That's a Mad Army clearance out for a throw-in. Blocking in the corner. Not quite Haaland-esque, but still able to force out a goal kick. Watu. Triad. Blocked by Absco. And in other FCs, that would be a dangerous position to lose the ball here. You already have those 3 defenders inside the 6-yarder. There's more work left to be done. And now, coming in from wide, it's going to be Warren, and he's offside. I missed that one, so fair play to the linesman. Although, it would have been a ball that felt uncharacteristic for either one of these teams to allow. Warren Beast. Back to Tico. Esco. With the Travella from Absco outside. Went towards that far post, and I thought it was the goalkeeper that tipped it out. Turns out, ball was still too wide in the first place. Mad Army get a throw in their own third. Doesn't look to be any easy throwing options, though. So that ball is just going to have to be thrown away to the opponents. Then Booz steps up really nicely there. Is that one offside, however? Flag doesn't come up. It's going to be a 1v2, but Boras so confident that ball was heading towards the far post. Made that look a lot easier than I'm sure many would actually feel it to be. But this is the first division. And there can only be one goalkeeper. So if they do find themselves in these teams, you know that they truly are the real deal. And both goalkeepers, in all fairness, have proven that that has been the case. But of course, those corner kicks and those driven shots as well. Too tough to stop. And with 7 minutes to go, still the same old scenario we've seen before. 2 goals required from PFC 11 Elite. Otherwise, at the end of this French derby, it's au revoir to that invincible record. Mon amis, it's been a pleasure to cover this game. It's been everything that we could ask for. 2 top sides battling it out. But ultimately, that sole team at the top of the bracket have just gone to prove their position. Not sure if extra time is going to allow enough for PFC 11 if they are able to make the most of their next attack, but they've not even got possession right now. Gonna have to make it work from their own thirds. A quick pinged ball forward. Tico able to find CNT. That 1-2 doesn't come through. That was a bit too predictable against Mad Army. Only 2 minutes of extra time. That's surely game, set, and match. But still looking for one for the road. For the goal difference. Blocked out once more. Pinged forward again. But Mad Army shut this game down. It's 2-0. Your top team in the PFL. Not just the best in France. The best. Full stop. And that was undeniable from that performance. I have not seen many better than that. And you'll think, okay, there was a clean sheet. Perhaps they were not challenged that much by PFC 11. And for that, I'm just going to have to completely disagree. Elite fought valiantly. They had a few of those chances. Of course, it got a little bit desperate in that second half, but that's exactly what you have to do when you have that little amount of time left on the clock. In that first half especially, the chances did present themselves. They were fishing for a lot of these counter-attacks. Mad Army did so well at closing it down, and whilst one team looked like they were trying to force those attacks through, it was that control of the pace of the game, knowing when to slow down, knowing when to strike, which was put to the test, especially for that second goal. We got to see it once more. We'll have a little bit of a reminder, actually. of the table to show you what makes Mad Army so strong. Of course, that 0 record in the loss department for PFC Elite. They are going to have to say goodbye to after Mad Army win. These were two teams with a match in hand to all the other teams surrounding them. Of course, you do look at the likes of PFC Heroin and Face Esports, who are really yet to see what they are capable of, especially the side of Heroin, who actually have been able to pick for themselves up a win. Face Esports, however, 3 losses, despite the lack of games, rather telling. But now you look at Mad Army. They're going to be on a total 16 points, matching that of Altair Esports, who we mustn't forget did just win on stream in that first matchup, but still going to have that game in hand going against them for the favour of Mad Army. Still, though, going to be holding down those Champions League spots. PFC 11 Elite, however, going to have to wait for another game for that to be the case, holding it equal still with Leda Sportasalva Esports on that 11 points mark. But where it gets really intimidating is where you see the likes of FC Familiciao. Consistent high flyers when it has come to the PFL highest divisions. And if they are able to pick up a win in their next match, spoke about those Champions League spots, they can pick up a little bit more. They'd be able to leapfrog even the likes of Caspia Grow up to that 3rd place spot. Taking a bit of bronze on the league table. But we are just going to be waiting for that next matchup. Just a reminder of what that was. We got a nice little animation. Ooh, it fades away. Today's games fade right in. GSK versus GTC. The 2 Gs going to be trying to go GG against their opponents. I'm sure it will be. But what a first 2 matchups we had today. Altair Esports versus the West, of course, was promising. Showed Altair why they were one of the best teams in the league, whereas the second series showed us why one of these teams was the best team in the league, not just France, of course. PFC 11 Elite did bring them that little bit of trouble, but Mad Army certainly made it look like that was not the case. That was ones for the lighter eyes. GSK Esports and GTC, though, going to come to us very, very shortly. And there is a little bit of an update here of the streams that we are going to have available for us. So I'm just going to move that one over. We've reliably got Joker streaming his POV on Twitch. Shout out for GTZ. We're going to have Quintas 1906 on Twitch. And Joker again has a face cam. So usually I do not follow those streams when that is the case, but it's all up to Quintas whether he's also going to have one on as well. He does not, so that's likely going to be the POV we will follow. But we've got to give a lot of appreciations here for these players, because FC doesn't currently support a spectator type of system. It is all up to the players to sacrifice a little bit of that bandwidth so that we are able to get these games onto a main broadcast. And I tell you what, I've worked in a lot of esports. There are not many other scenes, let's just say, where players would be able to do that. But this is a beautiful grassroots scene with so many talented individuals. And I mean, 11v11. I cannot be easy to organise, yet somehow these players are a lot more organised than some 3v3 or 5v5 esports that I do find myself in. It is a really tight-knit community, and there's a lot of respect towards the broadcast and their opponents. Those that take their captain or management roles do so seriously, and you can see that bleed its way onto the pitch as well, where we just see these teams fight tooth and nail. I personally haven't seen any early exits, some forfeits on a broadcast, which is my absolute pet peeve when it comes to a lot of these streams. But no, very respectful on this side. And did get an update from one of these teams that we are going to be delayed somewhat. So that means, for the meantime, we are going to go onto a Be Right Back screen. But if you want to watch the final matchup of the day, that is, of course, going to be GSK versus GTC. Make sure You stick around. This won't be long.
Devil in a red dress, call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang bang, got my hand on the trigger. The devil in a red dress, call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we wouldn't be on a break for a long time. The players have gotten themselves together, and I believe it's actually going to be a rather swift and natural transition into the game as well. The players are ready. We've got a lovely controller cam for one of the players as well. Reminder for anyone out of time that this is GSK versus GTZ. You can see Commentario at the top left, Derek Ray and Sue Smith. Absolutely not. Man them off. This is Sir Pegasus, ladies and gentlemen, proud to represent here for PFL. And this is going to be two teams that are looking to fight to climb their way up the table. Just seeing a Trickster Plus from one of the players. I'll say you don't see that very often. Usually it's that Trickster Grey just so you can get that ball rolling. You don't really see many bother with the gold. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know that Trickster Plus has been in the game for quite some time now. I could not tell you the difference between it and Grey. I'm sure there's some absolute wizardry you could pull off, but I'm not too sure about the effectiveness. So interesting choice there. We'll have to see if he throws some of those fancy flicks out, but I must say, I am somewhat doubtful. Corner kick was how we opened the scoring in the second series of the day. Chance to repeat itself here in the third. Header comes through, it comes off the post, and oh my goodness, there is just a blinding white just outside the penalty area. That's able to sweep their way out. Well coordinated there from the players. I'd be very confused as to actually who had the ball. And that feed that bounces awfully. And I spoke about miscoordination. GTZ fall victim. GSK come out on top. And I spoke about aesthetics from that Trickster Plus playstyle. Nothing pretty about that, but it's all worth the same. GTC have to respond. And GTC are that roster looking for their first match win of the season. Apologies. First win in 5 games. They actually did get a win to open up the season. It's been a 5-loss streak since. Forgive me, but still. Not going to be easy to turn over. The other side, you do have GSK. 1 win, 1 draw, and 3 losses. Got that match in hand compared to a majority of the competition at only 5 games played. Most have 6. And of course, some were able to pick up 7 on today's stream. And you'll not want to fall into that trap of saying, okay, we got some bridges we could potentially burn here. You've got that opportunity with these games in hand to really send a shift on the table. Got to use it to its full advantage now. Joker. Hot toss to Tech. Zabragas. Gets it down to Juvenaldo. Petty puts it wide to Shiras. And they have found their way to the opposite wing. And we haven't really seen them often in possession. But now that they have managed to grab it for themselves, I really do enjoy what I've seen. But now it's about trying to get that end product. A little bit overcooked there. Somewhat predicted, actually, from Sins that he was going to turn in that angle. Of course, you'd expect him to turn the other way against what was the other pivot player. So it was actually quite intelligent. Wasn't as clear-cut as that initially looked. What's the tech? Played it back to Sins. Varmy gets it to Barty. It was one of those plays that will always trick a decent FC player, but will never trick one that's either just getting into the game or at the very top. But hold on, first strike comes through. And that felt like it was a rather ambitious angle for GSK to go for. Either way, goals all the same. That's the second for GSK, just when it felt like GTC was starting to pick up steam. It just took one rash chance at net for that all to be thrown out the window. Really got a feel for GTC. This hasn't been a great start to their season. But then there are just opportunities like that where you can imagine it going the other way. And you have that flexible 1-goal difference, a 2-goal difference, however. I know they call it the most dangerous scoreline in football. I'm not sure I'm as convinced. Not at these levels. Players are able to keep themselves composed. That being said, how's your bottle now when you got... Oh, I'm not going to read out that name. Dribbling outside the box. I think someone should look into that. Apologies. The right striker or right mid of GSK somehow gone through the filters. Anyway. Red Baron. Again, a rather interesting name, but I see it. Picks the ball back up here in space. Dribbles it well. Curran. Now over to Chills. Lovely tricky feet here, and again, it's that purple player. Back on, though. For that offense, you can see 3 men surrounding one. One going to have to bail away for the player in possession. Still Red Baron able to ping that ball back forward. A little 1-2 play. There's a bit of space in that left wing, but it's not the best of balls forward. But that's what happens when you have an offensive-minded player on the ball. You're not going to expect the most fanciest of footwork. The stats are not going to be thrown in that factor. They're hoping for some of those play styles to carry their way forward, and that's not always the case, of course. There will be those odd positions. Oh, that's a lot cleaner. And I believe that's the first half called as well. I must say, that one went quick. Felt like we had still a few minutes left there on the clock. There wasn't that real anticipation shown from either side to just either close down that half or force it through. Instead, playing it rather tight, and yeah, is that right, striker? But not a bad start from either team. It's just that GTC have been rather unfortunate in a few spots. Of course, that second goal, the way they conceded, I mean, the first goal, of course, that one was just rebounding around, but you could definitely throw questions towards their coordination and the fact that they had already had a few opportunities like that in the seconds beforehand and just couldn't work their way out the box. Before that second goal, I mean, an absolute wonder strike from wide in the box, somehow threading the needle of every single defensive player. That will definitely send your head slamming off the back of your rest. Long ball forward. Petty gets this one to Shuras. Kryn actually had a bit of space in front of him still, though. Wanted to play that instant pass forward. A through ball is nice to Zabregas. But again, just as soon as they get a bit deeper down the pitch, it does somewhat feel like it falls apart. Could have taken an extra touch or two there before that last turnover. And now, they've got them knocking on the door of their defense, though. They have slammed that door in their face. It's going to be a lot ruder, though, on a corner kick. Not sure you'll get a knock. Much more the case of a battering ram. Your locks are really being put to the test. How are your hinges? Have you oiled them up in a while? Oh, my goodness. Back to the training ground for that one. Manager's absolutely fuming. The Arsenal set-piece coach embarrassingly drops his head down. Doesn't want to be the centre of attention anymore. Barron to Kryn, and again, it is just those opportunities where they just find themselves in those pockets and still just want to spam that A button. Of course, in their head, it is that bit more calculated, but those defenders can step up so fast. And if you do have an opportunity to use one of those ball rolls, get yourself across like they've done on that occasion. That's when you're going to start to get the chances. Not bad. Goalkeeper was prepared, though. His one real time to shine. Certainly not been left dull in his wake. Pichato. To Baron. Kurin takes it over to Sabregas. Not trying to pass to a marked man. This is wonderful, but again, that passing lane's completely blocked. Had options as well to pass behind to one of the pivots. Yet, still forced themselves through. Only stopped there by the linesman's flag. And just I'm asking for a little bit more calculation in their build-up. Felt like that force through was going to be their best opportunity. One more through ball. I've definitely seen those improvements, but time is running out now. It's a familiar 2-goal difference that we've seen in every single game so far today, and it ended in complete disaster in game one. That's a wonderful pass inside, a few bounces around. And the woes of goal one against them are reversaled back to GSK. 15 love. Little bit of table tennis. No complaints there from GTZ. Is that an opportunity they've been looking for? Is the myth true? Is 2-0 the most dangerous scoreline in football? Does the momentum swing? Can GTZ do it in the final 20 in-game minutes? Zabaragas. Through ball here to Chills. Going for the double roulette. One side, then goes the other. Still able to be read. First one was enough to trick the defense, but then the cards were shown. Still able to maintain possession, however. Our GTZ. GSK themselves haven't actually had much time in the ball. They've been happy to try and close this one out. They could be punished for that, for giving one too many chances. This is one they're going to have to take for themselves to try and slow down this downhill train of GTZ. GSK have proven their efficiency. Flip over the top. Stopped here by Petty. And this is going to be a crucial battle off the header. It was actually that second loose ball that made the difference. And GTC were able to pick it back up. 3 incredible matches of 11v11 clubs on today's broadcast. And despite the different places on the table between these two teams, I must say they've given me a similar level of enjoyment. No game goes amiss in the first division. You ask for the best, you get it. Sins doesn't have to technically force a goal through. Can just run down that clock if they need to. 10 minutes to land. Red Baron. Named after one of the greatest pilots in history. It's a sign of danger. Some fear for the opponents. And he's got himself the ball. Really living up to that name, but as for the team as a whole, still yet to get themselves too high off the ground. They're currently hovering, but this is a chance to really soar in the box, trying to force again. But Lady Luck already been wed. Not any room left for a relationship here with GTZ. Baron's ping as well, going towards that marksman, that consistent inaccuracy showing once more. Since Joker. I love those lobbed through balls. Give me vibes of when I used to play the game a lot more competitively. Back when it was still called FIFA. I used to absolutely spam them. And they were extremely effective. Those back and forth dribbles, the fidget spinners, the Antonys, being a very successful route in this FC. And for one of the first times this season, we're going to see more added to the tally of GSK. Haven't had a win since their first game of the season. Now can start to pick up some pace and take down those teams that you cannot afford to lose to. GTC didn't have a second win on their records, also since their first match week. But of course, successes could not follow them in this spot. But my goodness, what a run of games we have had today. Altai Esports versus West to get us started. All the top seeds technically winning in today's games, but there's a reason that FC is not played on paper. We want that little bit of excitement. You've still got to tune into these streams and see how they all occur, because despite what would have been some expected results across the board, the matchups and the overall gameplay, the excitement factor was certainly there for the spectators at home. So, of course, a big love to Altai Esports, West Gaming, PFC 11 Elite, Mad Army, GSK Esports and GTC Esports for being able to provide us with a stream to follow and being very coordinated alongside the team over here at PFL to get these games started as close to on time as possible. Had no server issues as well coming from FC. So, you know what? A very rare big up to EA. That is a W in that regards. But let's have one final look at the table here. We'll have a reminder of those players that played today. Mad Army and Altai Esports grabbing themselves another victory to climb their way up the table. A little bit of a stop here for the likes of PFC 11 Elite, unfortunately, and a West sitting similarly placed on the table with 11 and 10 points respectively. they'll start to get catch up by the likes of GSK Esports, who now sit themselves on a crisp 7 with still another game left to be played. GTC, unfortunately, going to have to sit down in what you would call that relegation spot, low in the standings, but who's to say that their season can't start any time soon. It is a league play format. There's plenty of games. This is early in the season, and I'm sure we'll see one miracle, one dark horse as we course our way forward. But as for myself, this has been an absolute pleasure. The first cast for me of FC26, and it was 11v11 pro clubs over here at PFL. You couldn't ask for a greater start, especially in the first division with the French derbies, the top teams, and those fighting at the highest level of 11v11 clubs presented on my screen. I had a fantastic time. I have those of you at home did as well. This is PFL. Be able to follow them on all socials. I know they've got a Twitter. I know, of course, I've got a YouTube where you will be following this stream. Make sure to turn on those notifications if you do want to keep in touch for any future broadcasts. And they've also got a Discord if you want to keep up with the action. Their website as well, being a great source to see any of their upcoming matchups, any of their leagues, the rule books as well regarding height restrictions and play styles. But as for myself personally, thank you so much to PFL. I'd love to return again if those of you at home did enjoy the show. But this will be the end. Thank you very much to those at YouTube.
Take it in real life like haiku. I know we got the good vibes when pieces fall right into place. Even if I lost all my money, the zero runs deep, honey. And I don't need to speak 'cause